everybody, what's up? It's me, Caitlin, the Michigan Girl. Happy post-holidays, everybody. It is December 27th. We are 2 days after Christmas for those of us who celebrated Christmas. My Christmas was great. It was a little bit interesting. I think my mom and my brother seriously want to move when we celebrate Christmas to July. Simply because the 23rd, I believe it was. Yeah, it was the 23rd. We actually went to, was it the 23rd or 22nd? I don't remember, but we went out to go to a local bakery called the Gourmet Cupcake Shop, which we had never been to, but one of my mom's coworkers had brought in cookies, and she said, let's go try them. We tried them, we got some cookies and some other treats, and we were on our way home, and the front passenger tire on my mom's van went kaput. So we got a flat tire like 2 days before Christmas. So that was fun. So we had to have the van towed here, and my mom had to drive my car. First time ever my mom has driven my car. My mom has a Town and Country, a Chrysler, and it's a van, and she likes vans. But I have a little Pontiac G6 from 2008, which I love my car. I love it. I love my little car. It's so nice. However, for my mom, it was a big adjustment from driving in a van to driving in a little, basically my car. I want to call it a lowrider because it is so low to the ground. But that was a big adjustment, and my mom does not like driving my car. So that was a couple interesting days where my mom had to drive my car because she doesn't like it when other people drive. She has to drive. So she drove my car, and she was not a big fan, but it was kind of funny to me seeing my mom drive my little podunk car. So yeah, that was our Christmas. We got a flat tire, and it's like this is the third Christmas in a row where we've had like bad luck. Like last year we got COVID, and then the year before that we had bedbugs right before Christmas. So it's not been like our Christmases for the past 3 years have not been the greatest. So my mom and my brother seriously want to move it to July because my mom sat there Christmas night and said this just feels like any other day, and I'm sitting here going, this is awesome, it's Christmas. But yeah, so our Christmas was a little bit of a downer, but still better than last year when we all had COVID. Thank you, Jesus. That was probably one of the worst Christmases ever when we were all having COVID. But it was fun. It was nice. My mom surprised me. She got me a 65th anniversary Funko Pop from Disneyland, which was the castle of Mickey Mouse. So yay! And she got me clothes for Disney World, so I'm really, really excited. So anyway, this is not a life update. I promised you guys I would do a review for Spider-Man No Way Home this week, and today is that day. I'm hoping a lot of you people have seen it. If not, spoiler warning, I will probably be talking about spoilers from Spider-Man No Way Home. Suffice to say, this has been my favorite movie of 2021, but also fair to say that the only movies I've seen in theaters in 2021 were all Marvel movies. So that should tell you where it is. So for 2021, going into 2021 and the Marvel movies being released for the MCU, I thought for sure Shang-Chi would be my favorite. I thought Black Widow was, but then I saw Black Widow. Black Widow's a good movie, but I talked about this. I enjoyed Black Widow. I understand why some people were frustrated by Black Widow. For me, I didn't really get that frustrated because I haven't really read the comics, so a lot of the changes I didn't really notice or anything like that because I'm not a big comics person. I know that Taskmaster is usually a guy, but at the same time, I did really have an issue with Taskmaster being a girl. It's just one of those things, like, I have no opinion of her because I do not know that much about Taskmaster to be like, oh, up in arms about this. But I think I've seen this before. A lot of other people say the Black Widow movie worked great as kind of an origin story for Yelena, which I kind of feel like the origin story kind of continued with Hawkeye, which I absolutely loved and was really, really great. But and Black Widow was a good movie. I don't think it was now that I've seen Hawkeye and I saw the mentions of Natasha, I feel like maybe Hawkeye did a better job of giving a goodbye, a farewell to Natasha than Black Widow. But I did enjoy Black Widow. Like I said, I liked it more for Yelena. I think Natasha Romanoff is one of my favorite characters from the MCU. However, I think I like Yelena just a little bit more because Yelena's just so stinking funny. I loved her banter with Kate. It was awesome. So I thought for sure Black Widow was going to be my favorite, and then I saw Shang-Chi, and Shang-Chi knocked Black Widow down, and then I saw Eternals, and funnily enough, I enjoyed Eternals more than Black Widow. So going into Spider-Man No Way Home, my ranking for the Marvel movies I've seen this year was Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Black Widow. But I kind of already knew ahead of time going into Spider-Man No Way Home that this movie was going to be my favorite of 2021 and probably one of my favorite Marvel movies to date, simply because I am a huge Spider-Man fan. And I talked about this in my trailer reaction for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There's a great scene where Doc Ock is talking to Tobey Maguire's Peter. Like I said, spoiler alerts, but I think everybody knows this at this point. And he makes a comment that Tobey's Peter has grown up. And I had read an article which made a comment about how that's kind of true because Tobey has grown up. But at the same time, all those people who saw his version of Spider-Man, they have also grown up. And I was sitting there going, really? And then I checked the year date, and the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was released in 2004, you guys. That kind of shocked me because I was young. No, not 2004. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot when the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was released. Excuse me for a minute, you guys. I am not prepared for this at all today. Spider-Man. I gotta find the earliest date. 2000. Okay, the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie actually came out in 2002. I was off by 2 years. But still, that's kind of shocking because I was, oh my gosh, I was 14 in 2002, you guys. That's how old I was when the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie came out. I was 14 years old. I was getting ready to start high school. So, yeah, pretty sure. Does it have their... Yeah, May 3rd, 2002. I was in 8th grade, you guys, when Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man came out. So I was 14 when that came out. So when you stop and think about it, I really did grow up with these Spider-Man movies because I was 14 when the very first one, that Tobey Maguire movie, came out. And I am 33 now with the third Tom Holland. So I basically grew up with these Spider-Man movies, and I can say I pretty much grew up with Spider-Man because the animated series came out during the 90s, and I was a kid, and I vividly remember, like, the three of the shows I remember watching and most as a kid were Spider-Man, X-Men, and Batman. So that should tell you something about why I love Spider-Man so much. Sorry guys, my phone keeps going off. I literally grew up with Spider-Man from the time I was in elementary school to now as an adult getting ready to go do this crazy DCP thing. So literally that comment that I've seen Spider-Man No Way Home twice now. I saw it again yesterday, the 26th. So going back and seeing it a second time and hearing that comment made to Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker that you've grown up, it kind of hit me a little bit more when I realized, oh my god, because it's kind of true what they wrote in that article about the generations growing up with Spider-Man. It's true. I've literally grown up with Spider-Man my whole life. Like, I don't remember Spider-Man not being a thing in my life. Like, there was that period of time before Homecoming where we didn't really have Spider-Man, but still there was so much. So I think it means even more to me, and I'm really, really hopeful that these rumors about them doing a fourth Spider-Man are true, because there is no way. So Spider-Man No Way Home, my review, hands down the best Spider-Man movie ever, in my opinion. If you follow me on Instagram, I point out my brother, he actually likes No Way Home a little bit more. I actually loved my brother loves Far From Home better. I love No Way Home better. I just thought No Way Home was better. Far From Home was kind of great in terms of introducing us to where Peter is at this time, but I think No Way Home did a better job of chronicling this internal struggle that Peter Parker now has to face going forward after his decision to erase his existence from everybody. Like, that stabs me in the heart even now thinking about it, that decision he makes. Because literally, who has gone through more than Peter Parker in such a young age? I was talking to one of my friends, and he was pointing out that Tobey and Andrew were like all young Spider-Mans, but I'm like, yeah, but Tom Holland's version is literally the youngest Spider-Man we have had to date. Like, even the animated series, he was like a junior, senior at the start of it. He already had a job. He was in college. And with Toby and Andrew, it was the same thing. Yeah, the first movie, they might have been in high school, but by the time the next movies come around, they're in college, they have a job, they're not kids anymore. Peter Parker in the MCU becomes Spider-Man when he's like 14 years old. That's when he goes to fight, like 14, 15. That's when Tony Stark recruits him to fight in Civil War. He's only 17 in No Way Home. So he's still very, very young. And Doctor Strange says at one point in the movie that after everything they've been through, he keeps forgetting that Peter is still a kid. You know, he's still this young kid who still has so much experience in life. He still has all this growing up and maturing to do. But he's already been through so much. His uncle's gone. His parents are gone. His uncle's gone. He got bit by a spider and became a superhero. He was recruited by the Tony Stark, who became his father figure. They were really, really close. He was blipped. He was snapped. He was snapped, and that inspired. And Tony invented time travel to bring him back, only for Peter to come back and then see Tony sacrifice himself to save the galaxy, thereby losing another paternal figure, losing another father figure. And then having to deal with all this pressure of people knowing Spider-Man worked with Iron Man and was kind of Iron Man's protege, and now people saying he's the next Iron Man, to where we get into No Way Home that Peter's identity is revealed, and now there are people cheering him on, but there are also people hating him. And his friends, MJ and Ned, are feeling the brunt of this because none of them got into the schools they wanted to go to, particularly MIT. So Peter, when we see him, he's really blaming himself at this point. And this is the first time for the Tom Holland version of Peter Parker that we see him get to this really, really low point. With Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, we saw those low points kind of right away, and we saw them a lot. With Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker, we haven't really seen him hit like rock bottom. Like, yes, Tony's death was devastating, and it hit him really hard, and he was lost. But what happens in No Way Home gets him to that rock bottom, gets him to that point where there's nowhere for him to go but up. And really, I think that's one of the defining characteristics about Spider-Man, is at some point every Spider-Man character, every character in this goes through this point where they have to hit rock bottom and claw themselves up. Because one of the defining characteristics of Spider-Man, at least to me, is that Spider-Man is wholly a character who strives to do good, who wants to make a difference for not just the world, but for the little person. That's why we call them the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. They are not the friendly galactic worldwide Spider-Man. Spider-Man is boots on the ground, in the neighborhood, like helping out. I think that's one of the reasons why Hawkeye was such a good show. It was very similar to Spider-Man in that it was very localized. You're not dealing with a worldwide threat. You're not dealing with a galactic threat. You're dealing with something very local in your area. We got to see what Spider-Man would be like in more global settings, like in Far From Home, in Civil War, definitely in Infinity War and Endgame. But the hallmark of Spider-Man is he deals with stuff in his neighborhood, in his hometown. So he's very much the small town superhero, even though he's from New York. So that's like one of these characteristics, is that Spider-Man is small time, wants to do good, but there's always that moment where the Spider-Man character, whoever they are, they have to go through a point where they kind of get beaten down, as Andrew Garfield said when he was talking about, when his Peter was talking about how at some point he stopped pulling his punches because he just got lost in this dark place, and he's still climbing himself up out of it. These Peters don't want to be these bad people. That's not who they are, because they've grown up with power comes great responsibility. I do love the fact that Aunt May said that in this movie. I think that's one reason why I like the Tom Holland one so much, is I feel like with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, it was very much a rehash of Uncle Ben. We don't really need to see that. We know about Uncle Ben. Having it be Aunt May in this instance and having her die in the third film, that was very gut-wrenching, because I thought she was safe. Like 100%, I thought Aunt May was safe because she made it through Homecoming. She made it through Far From Home. She made it through Endgame. I thought for sure nothing was going to happen to Aunt May, and they did a very good job at fooling us during the movie, where it seemed like she was hurt, but she was okay and she was going to make it. And she didn't, and I was just devastated. I could not believe that they waited till the third Spider-Man movie, but at the same time, that Aunt May's death for this Peter Parker is very much that catalyst that Uncle Ben's was for Toby's or Gwen's for Andrew, and that this is the catalyst he needs to become better, but he has to hit rock bottom first. And I think that was kind of another thing that was devastating and shocking, just how self-sacrificing this Tom Holland's Peter Parker is. You know, Spider-Man in general, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, they're very self-sacrificing characters. They don't have very high opinions of themselves, which is probably why I like Spider-Man, is because he's not like Iron Man, he's not like Thor, you know, he's not like Captain America or the other Avengers that are very confident in themselves at times. They're very confident in their abilities and what they can do. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is not that confident. He's a geeky kid, so he's not. Even Bruce Banner is somewhat confident in what he can do, even as a Hulk, and Peter Parker doesn't really have that. So it means a lot. That's probably another reason why I like Spider-Man so much, is because I have kind of the same confidence level. But I can't describe this movie because it just feels like there was so much going on, but at the same time I was able to absorb so much. I loved all the villains. I loved the inclusion of the villains. I loved the saving of Doc Ock. I think that was amazing because one of the things Marvel does so much better than DC, in my opinion, is Marvel is very good at creating villains who you feel bad for. When you learn their story, you then go, oh, it kind of makes sense. And also, a lot of the Marvel villains have something about them that makes them redeemable in the end. And so, I really liked Peter's plan to cure these villains, to redeem them. And he does, and he succeeds with the help of the Peters, which, oh my gosh, seeing Tobey and Andrew, I absolutely went into this movie not believing that Tobey and Andrew were going to be in it, despite all the villains being in it, because they had said they weren't going to be in it, and I said, okay, they said it, I totally believed it. I was 100% shocked. I could not believe I was wrong, but it made me so happy to see them, and seeing them talk with Tom Holland's Peter and kind of pass on their knowledge, because they're older than him and they've been Spider-Man a little bit longer, and yes, their universes are different, but they're still able to be those older brother figures that he desperately kind of needs. So it was really nice seeing them interacting with each other. I just love seeing Tobey Maguire. I feel like I saw him and I went, yeah, that is such a geek. It also kind of highlights their appearances, kind of highlights what they are. Like, Tom Holland is very good at being both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, I feel like, was very good at portraying the Spider-Man part of his character, while Tobey Maguire did an amazing job as portraying Peter Parker. I think the key to being a good Spider-Man is you have to find the balance between being Peter Parker, the dorky, not so confident nerd from Queens, and Spider-Man, the ultra confident, sassy character, superhero that Peter Parker is when he wears the mask. So Tobey did a really good job of being Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield did a really good job of being Spider-Man, and Tom Holland is really good at being both. So that's why Tom Holland's my favorite, I think. I don't know how to describe this movie. It's just really good. Like I said, Aunt May's death absolutely was devastating to me. Circling back to what I said earlier, considering all the stuff that Peter's been through, and now losing his aunt, his sole family member, so soon after losing the person who was pretty much his dad, must have sucked. And I think we kind of see that with Doctor Strange. Like, Doctor Strange is kind of mean to Peter, but again, I feel like Doctor Strange and Tony Stark have very similar personalities, and I also feel like they care very deeply for Peter in their own ways. And I think no place is that made more clear than Strange is very much sorry that he feels like he can't allow Peter to do his best to cure the villains. And so when Peter does, he's very impressed because he wasn't sure. Doctor Strange didn't really believe in it, but Peter's able to do this and go against fate and cure these guys with the help of the other Peters. And then when Peter goes to Doctor Strange and says, well, if you can't make them forget that I'm Spider-Man, just make them forget that Peter Parker ever existed. Maybe this is just me, but you could see the devastation and the heartbreak on Strange's face. Like, this is the last thing he wanted to do. Like, he wanted to save their universe. He wanted to stop them coming through. But the last thing he ever wanted to do, and like I said, this is probably just me reading into it, is erase Peter Parker from existence. Erase the knowledge that Peter Parker is Spider-Man? Yes, because Strange would probably jump on that bandwagon in a heartbeat if it means protecting Peter. But erasing him from existence, he says, you do realize this means all of us who love you, and Strange does include himself in that, which tells me that it wasn't that maybe the other Avengers did care, but they just have other stuff going on. You know, Strange is in New York. Strange is with you. I'm going to start crying again thinking about it. Strange is in New York with Peter, so he knows who Peter is, and he knows, Strange knows, because he saw the future, he knows Tony did what he did for Peter. And so he knows there's this ton of people who care about Peter, who love him, and Peter does the most selfless thing after nearly giving into his anger, nearly giving into his rage, and killing Green Goblin, but stopping when the other Peters help him, and now he goes up and goes to Strange and makes the most heroic choice in saying, just make everybody forget about me. Just make everyone forget Peter Parker ever existed. And if I lose my family, I lose my friends, all that matters is that everybody's safe and I will find a way. So that moment was very hurtful and devastating to me, because I'm like, this kid, all he has left is Doctor Strange, maybe the other Avengers, Ned, and MJ. He has nothing. He has no one left. He has no home. He has no actual family. And here he is, willing to give up everything to save his home, to save his family and his friends, even if it means they forget about him. And oh my god, I really am crying again. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. This movie was really hard. It's my favorite movie, but it was such a hard movie. Oh my gosh, it was so... He makes that choice, and then he promises MJ and Ned that he's gonna go find them, and MJ's like, I will figure it out, and I have a feeling she will. She'll figure it out again. But then when he goes to see them again, and he sees MJ with the wound on her head still from the fight, he totally, decides that he makes a choice not to tell her, and I'm in the audience in my head saying, no, tell her, and a part of me is really, really hoping as we move forward with Spider-Man 4, which I have a feeling is coming and will be about Venom. If you saw the mid-credit scene, that was an awesome scene, that someone is going to break through that spell Strange did. Like, magic is powerful, magic is strong, but I don't think magic is foolproof. I don't believe it can be foolproof. It can be very, very powerful, but sooner or later, magic will start to crack. Magic will start to break. And I have a feeling that maybe in Spider-Man 4 or in the Avengers movie, we might see that. We might see that breaking and cracking. Like somebody, I just hope. I hope somebody remembers Peter. I hope somebody remembers his existence. Because after May's death, he really, really needs somebody in his corner, and he doesn't have that right now. So, they know who Spider-Man is. They remember Spider-Man. They just don't remember Peter Parker. And he needs someone both as Spider-Man and as Peter Parker. Oh my gosh, I'm crying over a stupid comic book character. Ugh. I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, this movie... It just had a different feeling from the other two movies. It was just a deeper movie than the other two movies. And even though I'm starting to cry talking about this movie, thinking about this movie, it is my favorite movie of 2021. It is my second favorite Marvel movie. My first being Endgame, and this is definitely my second. Yeah, so this is kind of weird that both of my favorite Marvel movies are Marvel movies that make me cry. But... yeah, so I'm super excited. I got to see this movie twice. I wish I could go see it a third time. That's how good it is, even though I would probably cry a third time. For the record, it took me to my fourth or fifth time watching Endgame to where I was not a bawling mess at the end of it. But yeah, if you guys haven't yet, I'm sorry for spoiling parts of the movie for you, and I'm sorry this is rambling and a totally incoherent mess, but with this movie, I found it really hard to wrap my thoughts about what I wanted to say to you guys. But if you haven't yet, again, sorry for the spoiler warning, but go check out Spider-Man No Way Home. If you have seen Spider-Man No Way Home, Tell me down in the comments, if anybody watches this video, what you guys liked about Spider-Man No Way Home. Was there anything you didn't really like? Where is it on your ranking of the MCU movies? I mean, remember our first MCU movie of 2022 comes out in May, and that will be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think Doctor Strange is May. I had to double check. No, Doctor Strange is May. I don't think, yeah, they pushed back Love and Thunder, so I think that will be the first Marvel movie of 2022. So, tell me what you guys think of No Way Home down in the comments below, and what you guys think the future holds for Spider-Man in the MCU. This was really interesting seeing all these characters from the Sony movies, because Sony does have the rights to Spider-Man coming into the MCU, and we did see Kingpin in Hawkeye. So, do you guys think we're going to see more and more of these characters coming from the Netflix shows? Oh, by the way, I forgot. Kingpin, Matt Murdock was in Spider-Man No Way Home. That was awesome. I freaked out when I saw that. Quick note, that was beyond cool. So, with that being said, we saw Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home. We saw Goblin. We saw Doc Ock, Electro, the Lizard, Sandman. We saw the two Peters. Do you think, and we had Kingpin and Hawkeye, so do you think we're going to see more of and Venom, obviously, so do you think we're going to see more characters like Venom and Kingpin and Matt Murdock, Daredevil, making their way from these older Marvel properties? Daredevil was on Netflix. Of course, Sony, the Spider-Man stuff. Are we going to see more of these characters moving over to the MCU? I have a feeling we will, with the inclusion of Kingpin, which, by the way, spoiler alert for you guys who are mad that it looks like Kingpin died in the final episode of Hawkeye. I don't think he's dead at all. I think they didn't show what happened. Echo does not, I've read the comics, and Echo does not hurt him, so she hurts him, but she doesn't, kill him. So I don't think Kingpin's dead. I also don't think this will be the last season of Hawkeye we have, even though they called it a limited run season and they pegged the final episode as the series finale. I do think we're going to get another Hawkeye-esque series, only this one will follow Kate Bishop and it maybe won't be called Hawkeye, but I don't think we've seen the last of Hawkeye, be it Kate Bishop or Clint Barton, because we are getting Echo, so it'd be really interesting, and I don't think this is the last we'll see of Yelena. I'm sure we will see more of her, so let me know what you guys thought about Spider-Man No Way Home, the Hawkeye series finale, and the future of the MCU as we go into 2022 and we start getting deeper and deeper into Phase 4, which next year on tap we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Thor, Love and Thunder. We have the Ms. Marvel series coming. We have the second season of Loki. What If. So we have a lot of stuff coming our way for the MCU. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, give me a big old thumbs up. Click subscribe and ring the notification bell so you guys know when I post new content first. This is Caitlin, the Mission Girl, sending you all lots of love, hugs, and prayers. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and I will talk to you guys in 2022. Happy New Year. Bye, everybody.